Hello, Sarah from the Bureau here with a severe weather update on the extreme heat and the extreme fire danger that's impacting large parts of southern Australia for the next several days. Now for today, extreme fire danger is expected across large parts of southern South Australia, extending into western and central parts of Victoria as well. Now anywhere within this orange area, a fire weather warning is in place with total fire bans, including for the Melbourne metropolitan area. Now these elevated fire dangers are being driven by a very hot air mass that extends all the way from WA with maximum temperatures in excess of 45 degrees extending through South Australia and into the southeast. Today, maximum temperatures for both Adelaide and Melbourne are expected to be 42 degrees. And if they get there, Melbourne, that will be the hottest day since January 2020. It's also really hot down in Tasmania, particularly across northern and eastern parts. Launceston expecting a maximum of 32 degrees. As we move into tomorrow, there is a southerly change that pushes into the southern half of Victoria, bringing a short reprieve to those high temperatures. A maximum for Melbourne, 30 degrees. However, north of the Great Dividing Range, that lingering heat, maximum temperatures in the low 40s to mid 40s continue, with elevated fire dangers reaching extreme through the mid-north fire district of South Australia. So that includes places like Port Pirie and Clare, but as well for the Northern Country and the Northeast District of Victoria, so including places like Bendigo, Shepparton, Wangaratta and even those Alpine Town areas. Now tomorrow as well, to add more complexity to the fire danger, there are severe thunderstorms that are possible across the region. Now anywhere within this yellow area, damaging wind gusts are possible, but as we move out through eastern parts, including where there's red area, severe thunderstorms are likely. There is the potential for large hail as well. Now significantly, there is very little, if any, rainfall expected with these thunderstorms, as the thunderstorms are forming from a very high base, with the rainfall mostly evaporating before it reaches the ground as it moves through that really hot and dry air mass. So this leads to a risk of dry lightning that could potentially ignite new fires, but as well you've got the damaging wind gusts that will hit the ground and spread out, creating potentially erratic fire behaviour. Now, as we move into Friday, this is going to be the peak fire danger day, especially for Victoria. We've got extreme fire dangers across large parts of southeast and South Australia, nearly all of Victoria apart from the far eastern Gippsland. And this is being driven by a return of the very high temperatures, 40 degrees, the maximum again for Melbourne on Friday, and as well those high temperatures in further inland. But as well as those high temperatures, we're expecting the winds to be strong and gusty north-northwesterly ahead of a trough, shifting much cooler southwesterly behind it. There are also a risk of thunderstorms again on Friday. Damaging wind gust is the main concern, and again, very little rainfall expected with any storms that do form, creating that risk of dry lightning and fire ignition. Now, as we move into Saturday, much cooler conditions are expected for the weekend for South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania, but the heat really moves into eastern parts of New South Wales, including a peak heat day for Sydney with a maximum temperature of 40 degrees, but even warmer as we move into those western suburbs further inland. So with those high temperatures, we are expecting those fire dangers to elevate through eastern parts of New South Wales, including the Sydney metropolitan area. Now with those high, both maximum and minimum temperatures, we do have heatwave warnings, severe to extreme, current right across the country for all states and territories, apart from Queensland, with the focus of the extreme heatwave throughout eastern parts of Victoria and southeastern parts of New South Wales. And once we move into the weekend, the cooler conditions behind that front will start to see those warnings cancelled from those southeastern parts and shift into eastern parts of New South Wales. Now, community impacts with these really high temperatures include that increased risk of bushfires, but as well those heatwave conditions can create uncomfortable sleeping conditions and prevent the body being able to recover from the heat stress of the day, and as well create stress on power and infrastructure. So if you live across southern parts of Australia, now's a really good time to stay up to date with our latest warnings via the Bureau website, app and social media. And as always, listen to the advice from your local emergency services. Bye for now.